everyone, I'm Emma, a certified dog trainer.
And I'm Kirsten, a certified dog behavior consultant.
And this is Dog Chats. Join us as we chat about dog behavior, having fun with your dogs, and building relationships. We will offer practical advice and a bit of humor. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4. This episode is about games that enrich your dog's life. It's a topic that we absolutely love and the way we think about training as well. So let's get right into it. Enrichment is a big part of what we do for our dogs. So let's talk about that first and what it is. So what is enrichment?
Yeah, so we ended the camping podcast talking about how the camping experience, being out in nature and all that sensory stimulation is so enriching for both humans and their dogs. And we need to make sure we offer our dogs that sensory stimulation, the foraging, the mental and physical exercise, social companionship. That's enrichment. It's not about just eating out of a Kong. It's about looking at all sides of their brain and meeting their needs.
And the big thing to think about too is what kind of dog you have. And you might have a mix, and you may not know what breed they have. But if you do know the breed or the possible mixes, it's kind of nice to look at those breeds and see what they were created to do originally. And talk to us a little bit about that, about all the breeds, because you have this great information about all the breeds and what they were bred to do.
Yeah, I get a little too excited about that. I'm going to go back a step, though, and talk about the why. Why do we need to do this? And it's so dogs have the freedom to express a normal behavior. And that comes from 1965. A group of people in England got together and looked at animals, livestock particularly, and said, are we meeting the needs of these animals in our farms? Can a cow act like a cow, or is the cow just in a barn? Can the chicken be a chicken, or is a chicken in a little coop? And so internationally, this blew up. And the professor that ran the committee was called Brambles. And so they call them Brambles' 5 freedoms. And the freedom that matters today is, do you have the freedom to express your normal behavior? And so zoos...
That's a question for us, too.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. So, it started with farms where they said, is this pig getting to act like a pig, or is the pig just in a 2-foot box?
Yes.
And then it moved over later to zoos. And, is this elephant getting to act like an elephant? Or are they stuck in a place with no enrichment, no stimulation? It was much, much later, just very recently, where some said, wait a minute, what about birds? It went to birds before it even went to dogs.
Yes.
And now we're looking at dogs and we're saying, do dogs get the mental and physical exercise they need? Do they get the sensory stimulation? Because essentially our dogs are captive animals.
They really are when you think about it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too, but choice, giving our dogs choice to do some stuff, because they're kind of limited on their choice if we think about it. We make decisions on whether they can leave the house, whether they can run away from us and come back, like all of that. They have very little choice, so we want to make sure that there is that time where they have choice, right?
So their brains can grow, and the welfare of dogs is at stake if we don't do that kind of enrichment.
Yes,
so this is, it's an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
Just looking at the whole animal, what they need. So you mentioned breed groups, which I get a little too excited about. And there's 10 general breed groups, and it's based on the origin of the function of the dog. In other words, was this a hunting dog, a gun dog? Was it a herding dog? Was it a toy dog? Was it a bully breed? Dogs weren't created as pets except for the toy group until very recently. The intention of the dog was, you're in here working and earning your keep, right?
Yes.
We gave dogs all of these specific jobs. We selected for those job traits, the function, the characteristics, the activating stimulus response. When we created these breeds of dogs, we genetically selected, meaning we said, look, this dog is going to go chase a small furry animal and catch it and kill it, which very few dogs we let kill things. And this dog's going to go catch a furry. Let's breed them together. Now we have a terrier. So we did this to dogs. We gave them a job.
Yes.
And then we put them in our homes.
And now we said, hey, you don't have to do that job anymore.
Yeah, stop chasing the hamster.
Yeah.
Or stop I've got a German Shepherd. It barks at people when they come to the door. Why?
Exactly. Or I'm on your lap and I'm telling everybody else to get away from you.
Yes.
Right?
So we have to acknowledge, I know the study came out recently that breed doesn't matter, but the big picture is genes matter. They do.
Yes.
We selectively created this job in the dog.
Yeah.
So,
And one of the things to think about that I think, like, I grew up with labs around me as well, is a lab you always think is like this great family dog, but its function was to go out and retrieve that duck and bring it back to its person.
yeah.
And, you know, where do you put that now in that pet dog's world? How does he deal with not having that anymore?
Right, not having
Even like
access
he's
to
never
water.
seen it, but
Yeah.
genetically it's in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what we talk about, the activating stimulus. And sometimes it comes out. So we did that to Border Collies and Aussies, right? We said, we want you to go chase and herd around that thing. That was the intent, chase sheep. And now all of a sudden they're chasing the 4-year-old around the house
Yes.
and nipping at him, and we get mad. So how can we fill that niche, fulfill that need to chase in a game and not, get angry at our dog, instead build a relationship? So that's what Em and I are talking about today.
Yes.
Enrichment is meeting those dogs' needs, letting them do their natural behavior, and then loving them for it.
Exactly, just having that outlet to put that
The
somewhere.
outlet, that's a great word. So I'm going to jump in and tell you a couple breed. I'm not going to do all 10 breed groups because I would lose some listeners. But some of my favorites to talk about are gun dogs, which are our retrievers, our setters, our pointers, and our spaniels. So these guys were created to be next to a human. They had to be, people social with a lot of other dogs, because there's 7 guys out there hunting together.
Exactly.
Sit there, be relaxed, go get that thing when I tell you to get it, and come back. And that's why the gun dogs are what we kind of imagine as our pet dogs in America, but that's only one group of 10 dogs. So understand that a lot of other dogs couldn't do that. But how can we recreate that? How can we fulfill that need? What if I live in Nebraska, get a kiddie pool, throw a ball into the kiddie pool, and let your lab get in there, dash around in the water, pick up that ball and bring it back to you? And that's fulfilling this genetic need. Sighthounds. Not too many people have sighthounds, but those that do have a hard time. You can't let a sighthound off leash if you don't have recall. And I'm seeing more and more whippets around here. And more
Especially
whippet
if there's
misses.
something small.
Oh, absolutely. Because their job was to see something, ask no questions, and then chase like heck until you got there. So for them, I would, if I didn't have a yard, what if I live in San Francisco? I would look up sniff spot, find a wide open space that's fenced in, and there's more and more sniff spots around. Or even take that dog on a long line. Go to the beach. Let it run.
A part of this too is not all of these breeds necessarily have the drive that they were
So true.
made for as
Yeah.
well. So,
Right.
so you, on the other hand, you may have a dog that you think might have that drive and doesn't have it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's the
you know,
greyhound that
just a-
sleeps on the couch, and there's the lab that won't pick up a ball.
Yes.
And that's looking at the individual dog in front of you, which you keep bringing up. It's so important. And I'm going to 2 other breed groups. What if you had a scent hound? Any dog like a basset, or all of a sudden I have all these clients with plot hounds out here, but a dog that was bred to use its nose and to track. And that's where I love doing nose works. They're getting to fulfill that natural need of finding that scent, tracking it, getting to that scent and looking at you. Or a terrier, which we mentioned, creating a digging spot in the yard. I honestly had a client say, I've got a dachshund who keeps digging, and it's really upsetting me. I thought, well, that's what that dog was bred to do. That's that dog's function. So thinking about, if I don't have a place in my yard where I want my dog to dig, I could get a sandbox, or I could get a kiddie pool again, put some loose dirt in there, hide some toys. I might even get like a fluffy little toy that looks like a mouse and put it in there so the dog can see it and say, find the toy. And the joy that these dogs get from fulfilling their designed job, and it makes me like my dog more, because I'm setting them up to do what usually drives me nuts. I don't want you to dig in my garden, dig in the pool. I don't want you to run away from me. Let's find a spot where you can be off leash on a long line.
Okay.
So going back to Emma's point, not all labs retrieve.
Yes.
Not all border collies chase.
Yes.
We have to look at the dog in front of us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you have so much experience with that. Looking at a dog, you might not know the breeds. It's such a mix.
Yes.
Because were you the enrichment coordinator for a kennel?
So I actually was the kennel enrichment coordinator for one shelter, and then helped another shelter with their program. And so we had a variety of dogs, from really large to really small, from energy up way high to not even being able to move because they were so shut down. So we took a look at each individual dog and looked at what their needs were. And things that enrichment, when you think about it in a shelter environment, you're thinking about what can you add to that. So there's scent, tactile, sound, visual, oral, mental, social. We can keep going, and and physical, and sleep is huge on the enrichment thing. And the basic needs for enrichment that we think of are you need to get out and pee and poop, honestly, right? So that is an enrichment in itself, to being able to get out. And then we kind of just go through those things, and we decided, what does each dog individually, what do they need at this moment to get them through this time where it's stressful, and they are in a captive environment where they don't have much choice about movement at all, except when they're out for a walk with the volunteer. So what I did was a lot of kennel enrichment, where the volunteer would go in there and work with the dog, and it could be just that the dog wanted you to sit there, and then they would fall asleep, and that was
and how did you figure out what they needed?
We looked at the dogs, and if they were shy and shut down, we just sat there and let them have the choice of whether they wanted to approach us or not. If we knew they were like all over us and ready to do some stuff, especially like if they were a cattle dog, we probably bring in all the puzzles and let them go to town and figure it all out and work independently. So it just really depended on what the dog wanted to do. And you may not know straight away what the dog wants to do.
Yeah.
So you bring them a variety of things, and you say, would you like to play with a puzzle? Would you like to forage over there? Would you like to sit on my lap and just hang out? What is it that will meet your needs for that moment? And letting them make choices about it. So that's
what we should be doing with our pet dogs.
With our pet dogs. So it translates to that. And I think enrichment kind of started, like you said, in zoos and farms, and then it kind of went to shelters, and then it moved out in your homes.
Yeah.
And then it became a big industry for all the brands of toy puzzles that are out there right now.
So what about games? Was there any kind of game playing in the shelter?
So the games that we did play, if the dog was up for playing some games, is we used to bring puzzles in. So some of them were homemade, and I will put the disclaimer out there now. You know your dog, you know what they can get into, and it is something that you want to decide yourself whether it will work for your dog. So
if your dog chews something, swallows it, and gets sick, it's not our fault.
Yeah, I don't know whether we can say that.
I'm just saying. I just said it.
Yeah.
I said it.
But yeah, so it could be a cardboard box with a bunch of balls in there. It could be a bun tray with tennis balls in there with treats underneath. A muffin tin. Sorry, that's a bun tin is
I'm
Irish.
translating for Irish and cultural.
It could be like a paper towel roll with some treats in there. It could be just a towel with treats in there, and it's all over the place.
So you don't have to spend a ton of money to come up with these games.
So you don't have to spend a ton of money, and you can go online and look up enrichment, and you'll find all those things. And I can't even say it enough, because I'm OCD about safety.
Yeah.
Is please just know your own dog and their limits, because we could say cardboard, and as long as they're not eating a crazy amount of cardboard, you just want to be careful. We used egg cartons, and we put some treats in there. And then there was days where we do some stuff where they just did it on their own, where they got a Kong, and they could just go off in the corner and just eat their Kong there. And we could be present, or we may not be present. Yeah. So something to think about, switching that to what it would look like at home.
Yeah. And the Kong, it's interesting because it is a game. It's working for their food.
It really is.
It's a dopamine hit. It brings up your oxytocin levels when you're eating. It's the same for humans and animals. There's brain science about when you eat, your brain is happy as you're eating and after the food's digested.
It creates some comfort, as we all know, if we eat chocolate.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's funny because my partner Rod was saying, is the frozen Kong turning into the new hand your 5-year-old an iPad just to keep him quiet? I think some of us fall into that category of like, oh, I haven't done anything with my dog today, I'm going to have a frozen Kong. But that could be part of it. I think that's an important part, is some independent eating, working for their meal a little bit, and then maybe one of these other more active games where we're it's a cooperative game. We're doing something with our dog.
With our dogs. So yeah, I think there's a nice mixture of stuff that you can do with your dog and then let them do some stuff independently. And I know Kong definitely is we're going to get a call from Kong, without from talking about them so much.
We love Kongs.
But we absolutely love Kongs.
Yeah, and if you want to send any free Kongs this way, I will take them. Yeah, thumbs up.
And we recommend Kongs all the time for different things, like just for puppies. Just having that, working something out and having something novel and just the smell and just playing with it and moving it around the room without even getting the stuff out of it.
Yeah.
It has lots of great functions like that.
I'm going to jump in and tell my Kong story.
Yes.
So we were talking about the retrievers and genetically selected to pick up ducks with a soft mouth and carry them. So many of these labs and retrievers want to carry something around. So I had a black lab who, when people came in the door, she would super gently just put her mouth on their arm, and it really scared people. So instead I have a basket of Kongs by the front door, and when the doorbell rang, she'd come running over and I'd hand her the Kong. So she'd just have that Kong in her mouth like a pacifier. And
Oh, that's great. That's a good idea. We're sitting right in front of our staircase here, where my previous dog used to take the Kong, go right to the top of the stairs and let it fall out of his mouth, so it would just bounce on every step, and then everything would come out of it.
Brilliant, a
But
waterfall.
then my other dog would sit still and just paw at it and try and get the stuff out, never moved a bit. So that's showing the difference in dogs,
Right,
and
the individual
and the way they
in
see
front of
it.
you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So what are some games that you play with Kiva?
So Kiva, again, being my dog.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We may have to cut that.
So let's look at games in two different ways,
Yeah,
right? Where
good,
this
cooperative.
This is more cooperative, where we're going together. She loves spin. Like, she just spins naturally, so it's something we put on cue, so she does it all the time. So that's something. It's a game.
It's her happy dance.
It's her happy dance. I mean, like, she'll do it, if you called her, instead of coming straight to you, she'll do a spin and then towards you. So that's one of the ones we do together. We do Funder, which is an absolute dog name for a game, where she goes between my ankles and heads off one way, and then I turn around and then she heads off the other way, which is an awesome game if she's got a little bit of energy at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it brings her to you. She's not
totally
then running zoobies around.
brings her, orientates us to her. So it's not only a game, it's actually a good exercise in building that relationship as well. And what about you? Some of your dogs, what do you do with them?
So Mick is my Border Collie German Shepherd, and he is obsessed with the Frisbee. Playing Frisbee with him for 5 minutes will keep him content for 2 to 3 hours, because it's that need to stalk, chase, run, bites the Frisbee, he shakes the Frisbee and he brings it back. So that brings him so much joy. I mean, he's literally smiling. And we've got this giant donut Frisbee, a soft one, and he will put his nose in it and come back like wearing the Frisbee around his nose. It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's great.
My dog Charlie, a Poodle Pomeranian Chihuahua mix. We actually, Rod and I will go to this place in San Anselmo, where for some reason there's like a 6-block radius of more squirrels in San Anselmo than anywhere else in California. And he loves squirrels. So we'll hype him up. Like, he hears them and he looks at the squirrel. And if he looks at the squirrel and comes back and sits for a second, we run together. And we don't catch the squirrels. I don't feel the same way as squirrels as I do about plovers. Don't worry. But it's that chase, letting him be a dog for a moment.
Exactly.
And saying, we're going to, you listen to me, your reward is chase.
It's interesting, just to jump in there for a second. You have connection with him and the squirrels.
Yes.
And with Kiva, it's one of her independent things.
Okay.
It's going out to the yard and chasing the squirrels, and we have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So,
well, he does that too if he
function,
can.
They
It's
function
only
in both ways there, poor squirrels.
If he's on leash, I mean, he'll just sit in the door and just like stare at me like, there's a crow. Can I go? Can I get the crow? Anyway, and then Neve, my rat terrier Chihuahua mix, she's all about the toys. And some dogs like toys and some don't. Mm-hmm. But we have a lot of little fluffy toys, miniature because she's teeny. And I'll throw the toy, or Rod will like shake the toy, come get it, make it look like it's alive, and she gets it, and then we take the toy away, we do it again. She can do it 100 times.
Great.
And then there's my Dakota, who, playing with her, it's hard to find what ignites her fire, and the truth is she's a Pomeranian Chihuahua. All she wants to do is sit in my lap. And I used to feel so guilty about that and think, oh, she doesn't get enrichment. Like,
But that's enriching.
It's
that's
enriching.
So
It's
enriching.
what she just craves, that
Yes.
social companionship.
So there's like the research that shows that human contact can bring down the stress level
Yep.
so much, like even with shelter dogs. So
Yeah. It goes both ways, right?
it goes both ways. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's why we have our dogs in a way, right?
Absolutely,
You know,
yeah.
it just brings us so much comfort and joy as well.
And I have to put a disclaimer here. I don't do enrichment with my dogs all day long. Like I have clients who think that's what I do.
Yeah.
My goal is I have 4 dogs, so maybe that's fair. But to do one enriching game with them a day. That's it.
And we've talked about this during the week because as we were planning for this podcast, I started to think, what am I doing for Kiva? And it has made me reflect, even as a trainer, to say, am I doing everything that I could be to enrich her life? And we can't do
You
all
can't.
the things. We're busy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I give her a good outing every day and she sees some stuff and she does get one puzzle. And of course she needs sleep
Yeah.
because that's so important for a healthy dog as well as a human. But there's parts of it where I wonder if she's just a little bored. If I could add a little something extra in there. So I thought maybe I'll bring her to a training class. That would be a fun,
that's a
something
great
fun.
idea. Yeah.
Like scenting or agility or something like that, where we're having fun together. And it is a
love that.
game.
Yeah, and it's
You know,
scheduled.
so
It's, an
it's
hour
a
a week.
schedule thing.
So you're going to go do that special treat?
Yeah, so even as trainers, we understand that, you would think we would be doing all the things, but that's not the
cobbler's shoes,
case,
yeah.
right? Yeah, so it is I always say it, they're the cobbler's children, right?
Yeah.
So we're always thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
And I'll tell you, I was leaving to come here to do the recording, and I've been at work all day. My dogs were giving me the biggest sad eyes, and I took a handful of kibble and a couple treats and scattered some in each room, and they were like, "Oh, you can go. You just gave us a scatter feed."
Right, and I want everybody to listen to that because that's one of the best games,
Yep.
right? As long as your dogs don't have any conflict with
Right.
with food out together.
Yeah.
Just doing that
Foraging.
throwing the treats, and I mean like throwing.
Throwing 'em under the
Sometimes
couch.
I tell people throw treats and they just drop
Yeah.
like 3 down on the floor. I mean grabbing
Oh, yeah.
them and throwing them all over the
Yeah,
place.
absolutely. Goes under the fridge. Think about that enrichment for 2 hours to try to get the one from under the fridge.
As long as it's not, because during COVID I worked with a lot of people out on their decks, and every time
Oh, yeah.
I do that, they'd all go down
Yeah.
and get stuck between.
Well, then
the
that's
pieces
enriching
of
for
wood.
the rats later.
Yeah, there you go. But it's a wonderful like mental,
Yep.
physical. It's got all those
all
elements,
the- and it can be their dinner.
It's taste.
Yep.
It's everything. Smell. Looking for them. It's got everything in there, and
Yeah.
it's just a great way if you just need to leave off some energy
Yeah.
with the dogs. It's super.
What other are your favorite games? Like what other tricks do you have up your sleeve?
So one of the things that we did at the shelter that I think everybody should do to try and figure out what kind of games your dogs like, right? And this is more independent than it is where we're together with them. You're still
Which is
there.
important too.
Is just in any room in the house. Have somebody hold the dog first in another room or whatever. Put out your puzzles, your Kongs, that scatter feed we were saying, just throwing some kibble on the floor. Put out their cuddly toys. Put out, like, we have something on the table here that it's like a toy that they have to put their nose in.
Like a burrow toy or something.
A burrow toy, and they pull out like sometimes they're squirrels and sometimes they're little fish or whatever.
Plovers.
And they pull those, no, not plovers. and they just, and then you sit in the room, one of you sits in the room as well, and then you just let the dog in there and you just stand back
Yeah.
and you see what the dog wants.
Yeah.
Are they going to play
Without
with the
directing
toy?
them, right?
Yeah, no direction. They have choice. This
Yeah.
is huge. This is choice, right?
Agency. I love
They absolutely. So they can pick a puzzle. They can pick the Kong. They can pick the toy to run around with. They can come over to you and sit and get cuddles or petted. Lots of choices, and then you'll kind of get a feel of what does your dog like, right? So I think
love
that's
that.
a great game.
A great
on its
game.
own.
I did that recently for a class with Janet Finley, and she had us video it. And that was so great because in my mind, Charlie was just going to go for one thing. And I was sure, and I even think I saw it that way. And then I went back and I watched the video, and I was like, oh, he actually wasn't interested in the food as much as he was some of the toys and the other, textured objects.
Yeah. And it was really interesting in the shelter when we'd bring in the dogs and just the difference. Every
Yeah.
dog was different.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wow, that dog picked up the toy and is running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and not interested in the food whatsoever. And then the other dog would be just interested in the puzzle. So really a great way to
I love that.
to check out what your
Talk
dog
about
likes.
seeing the dog in front of you.
Yeah. And what other games do you like?
Well, one of my favorite games is hide and seek.
Yes.
Because I think it builds the relationship. It creates a little bit of drive to get with the owner. It's a great way to practice a recall in the house. If there's kids, it's really fun to have the adult hold the dog and the kids go hide. Because a lot of times when we're calling our dogs anyway, they're not looking at us. Like the dog isn't sitting and looking at us at the beach. They're off doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
So it really ignites that part of the brain where they hear their name and they hear that recall and then get showered with love, attention, and some
And when they
reward.
get there. So when you show people how to do that, do you just say, call the dog's name and come, or do they have to do more than that because they're hiding?
Well, they're hiding, so they have to be like whistling, clapping. I always say throw a dog party.
So they can figure out
so
where
they can
it
figure out
is.
where they are. Yeah,
That is
and
awesome.
it's such a great hot day, rainy day activity for dogs. Or you've got 5 minutes at your lunch break. And if your dog could do a sit stay and you're home alone, you put them in the sit stay and then you take off to another room. And the joy when they get to you, they feel like you've been gone for 22 years. They're like, oh my God, I found you. I'm a rescue dog.
And of course, I'm always telling stories. So that just reminds me of when I was a kid, and that Maltese Terrier that I told you
Yeah.
about that was, we lived
A terror.
with, but it was a terror. You could hide for him, somebody would hold him, and we would go around things, like we'd go around a chair, up and down the steps, down, and that dog followed the scent.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
He didn't just come looking for us. He actually followed the scent. He'd go behind the curtain and follow the scent. So
interesting.
It's interesting to look at that too. And I wouldn't have expected that from him, but that was something he did too. So that can be a great, and like you said, rainy day or sunny.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Another one I like is, and this is also with kids, but can be fun for the adults too, is just they grab some treats and the adult holds the dog and they go hide the treats in the room.
Yes.
The dog can be watching, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be too hard to start off with, like
Yeah.
they don't need to go under the fridge to start off with.
I was joking about that.
But just in different places that the dog might spot them. And then they come back to the adults and then they let their dog go check it out. And they stand back and they don't give the dog any idea where anything is.
Right,
And they
and
just
that's hard
see
for
if
some
they...
people.
Yeah, because they want to say, it's right here,
Yeah.
it's right here. And they just let the dog go out and get it. Now, if the dog needs some help, yes, you can go out and give him a little help by kind of walking close to it and do it. So that's
I
another
love
one
it.
I love.
I love it. And I have some clients who say to me, oh, what if they don't find all the treats? And I say, well, count out 11. So if the dog finds 9, there's 2 more that you got to get.
You
'Cause,
gotta find.
Yeah, some people.
What about odor as well? That always amazes me. And I know we're it's not in the game thing,
Yeah.
but it really interests me that you can see your dog sniffing somewhere.
So cool.
And people go, hey, he's not near the treat at all. And you're like,
Yeah.
but he can smell it.
Right, because
And
the odor
it's
travels,
traveling.
especially if you're outside.
Yeah.
And there's any kind of wind and
Stuff. So if you see that nose or you see a quick turn,
yeah,
that's so much fun to
so
watch.
fun. And I love not just hiding treats, because a lot of dogs can find the treat.
Yeah.
I love hiding a toy. Mm-hmm. And the first few times I do it, I let the dog see where I'm hiding it, and then
Yes.
that's just the game. And then I either put the dog in the stay or somebody else holds the dog, and I really hide the toy, like under the couch. And they're using their nose in that case. They can't just rely
Absolutely.
on the vision, which they often do. And again, the joy, like it's almost like they've just hunted down that stuffed little chipmunk for real, and they bring it back, and they're like, "Look what I found!"
Woohoo! And then we have some stuff that we actually do, that's more formal, like agility. Have you taken agility with your dog?
I have
Yeah.
with Charlie, which I wish I had video to show you. He was maybe the least agile dog that Maureen Humane had ever seen. He was scared, but it was good because in the end we did 2 classes and it built his confidence a lot.
Yes.
And then the crazy thing is I went home and Rod and I actually built all our own agility equipment for almost nothing out of PVC pipe.
Yeah.
And he loves
it.
He loves it. Like I turn my back and he's on the dog walk and he's doing jumps like by himself. It was just hard for him to be in that social environment.
And you can make all sorts of things at home.
It's
just look
amazing.
that up and
Yeah.
you can do it. But the thing I want to note there that you said is it helped him and build confidence. So we're playing games and they're fun for us, but they sometimes will help something else going on. And that's why, we think about games when we're training, that it can help build confidence or grit or
and just see another side of the dog, like you were talking about, seeing what the dog chooses to do and where they excel. We don't always know.
No, it's not
what's
always
going to light their
obvious to
fires.
us. Any other games that you like to play with your dog?
My dog Mick is crazy about tricks, and it really helped me fall more in love with him because he's got some dog-dog issues. He had some dog-human issues for a while, and once we started doing the trick training, simple things like cover your eyes and spin, and I even went for a trick title. I saw this silly side of him that I had never seen before, because I usually saw the German Shepherd side.
And do you think part of that, and I always wonder about this, if part of it is because we're having fun, because it brings back this, if you had a good childhood, it brings back these childhood things like the playground and stuff like that, and it's easy to teach a dog if you're having fun too.
So true.
So
the memory works.
Does that.
If you're in a positive state of mind, that the stuff's going to stick.
Yeah.
Where I was doing so much sit down, stay kind of controlling stuff with him years ago, I ended up getting so much more control out of him, to use that word, by the tricks. So now with his reactivity, if we see another dog, I can do a touch, a spin. Those are things that make him feel good instead of things that were stressing him out.
And that brings me on to another thing I like for choice, and maybe it's not choice, and I have to really think about this too, is I ask Eva what would she like to do, and she can give me whatever she decides. It can be a sit, a down, a spin, and I just leave that up to her. What would you like to show me? And yes, I'm asking for her, so it's kind of that fine line of whether she has choice or she doesn't have choice, but it's something she decides to engage first. Like, I don't say, what would you like to do? She comes up to me and she goes, I'm going to sit.
I've seen her do that.
Yeah. So,
and she looks so proud. She's almost got a smug look on her face.
I know how to do this. Yeah. So those things, we have to think about a little bit. Is it giving them full choice?
Yeah.
Are they having to work with it, but are they still enjoying it as a choice?
Absolutely,
So it's something because they're so, and we'll go back to the choice again, because this is something I think about all the time. Just that they are in our houses all the time and so limited for their movements and everything. We're kind of saying, not that,
right?
This, not this. You can do that.
Leave
it. Come inside. Go outside. Go to bed.
Go to the bathroom when we say you can.
Exactly. And they don't have much choice to say, I'm heading off to the park. I'll be back in 20 minutes, right? That doesn't happen now, and maybe more so when we were growing up, as we've talked about, where dogs had a little bit more
autonomy,
freedom and choice with that as well.
Yeah.
So,
and that comes full circle, I think, to the whole point of enrichment was letting dogs have the freedom to express normal dog behaviors.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've moved so far away from that, and we get upset with normal dog behaviors. But if we can engage them in the game, a digging pit, or a chase game with them.
Exactly.
Like that's a way to let them be dogs and have fun with them.
Exactly.
And fulfill their needs. And we get enriched too. I mean, I'm going to do a shout out to Kim Brophy's book, Meet Your Dog. Yeah. Because that's where I got a lot of my ideas about breed groups and fulfilling their individual needs within that group. That was an eye-opening book for me in terms of seeing their dog, the life from their perspective. And
I think that's wonderful. It is eye-opening because you do forget. You do forget, what was this dog? What was this breed? What was the function? The function of this dog.
Yeah.
So that's really important to keep remembering.
Absolutely, because we created that for hundreds of years. Border Collies were herding sheep.
Yes.
And now they're hanging out in the living room.
And small dogs were meant to keep our laps warm.
Exactly. And, we were home all day because we were kings and queens. Now we're out working the streets as dog trainers.
So I guess
I didn't mean to say working the streets.
You still want to? What was that you just said?
I didn't mean to say work in the streets. We're walking the streets as dog trainers.
So with that, we hope we've given you some good ideas for games to play with your dogs and to be thinking about your individual dog and what they would enjoy doing.
And what you enjoy doing, right? Because if we're having fun, if I'm playing with the flirt pole, if I'm setting up a digging pit and digging and hiding the toys. My dog's going to have fun. And this is just a great way to build your relationship and add more enrichment to both your lives. Okay, hey, we know you all have stories about your dogs, and Emma and I would like to hear some of them. We were just talking about, what does our listening audience do for enrichment? What kind of games do they play? What do you love? And I would like you to share some of those with us, because if it's something we could pass along to others, excellent. If it's something that has, a creative solution in your home and solved a problem, share it with us. Contact us at dogchatspodcast@gmail.com. And I know there's going to be a whole lot of you sending us emails, thousands, and we won't be able to get back to everybody right away. But listen for your answer that might pop up in a future podcast. Take care. Thanks for tuning in today, and hope you'll join us for our next episode. You can reach Emma at
ecdogtraining.com or on Instagram at ecdog_training, and Kirsten at
kwhappydogs.com or on Facebook at kwhappydogs. Don't forget to hit subscribe. See you next time.